Again, welcome everyone to Shays Spiritual Insights. I'm so glad you're here. So we have Pat, Lisa, Paula, and Greg. I want to wait just a couple minutes to give Marcy a chance to dial in. She said she wanted to, but sometimes there's technical difficulties there in Molokai. So how are things, Lisa? Didn't mean to get you. How are you?
Good.
Good to hear that. Good to hear. I would like to tell you that I was going to use the new lighting, but my new lighting had technical difficulties and I had to send it back. But
Oh no.
next time we'll be using it was Lisa inspired. I will tell you it was the lighting we got was based on what you use. So yeah.
Great.
I'm going to wait just like one more minute and then we'll get started. And just in case Marcy has a chance to come in, I don't want her to miss anything. Well, we can go ahead and start. Let's begin. So I have some things, a couple things to share, and it was inspired by Kathy Martin, who had written me earlier this morning regarding someone that she was going to come see her for a session, and then they canceled, and she wanted to know if she was responsible for that person canceling. And so when we looked at it, it looks like that basically that person's low self was basically sabotaging her, and that's why she canceled. But the question was, do we have the ability to energetically affect others who we're working with? And the answer, of course, is yes. And if we're aware of that, that can be really helpful. And it's good to make sure that we stay energetically grounded to Mother Earth and then connected to our higher guidance and keep that bubble of light around us. And that can help have the energies come through and just naturally get absorbed by Mother Earth and dissolve. Unless people have more questions about it, I'm not going to go into great detail, but it also can happen if we have, let's say, past life interactions with someone, something is unresolved and we're unaware of it. Those energies of our emotional baggage, as I call it, or the energetic attachments can come up and through energy cords to the other person cause them to feel things and then want to cancel. But most of the time that isn't an issue. And if you're aware of that this can happen, and most of you do this kind of work, you would be. But she said, hey, I could bring it up, and I thought it was worth bringing up just to be aware of it, because sometimes, I don't know about you, I forget. I get busy doing things, and the next thing I know to do the grounding or cut the energy cords, and I just don't think about it until after the fact. So anyway, is that Marcy? It looks like it. If you're talking, Marcy, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Hey, it's good to hear your voice. I love all the videos you're doing.
Oh, I'm glad you do, and we're going to be doing more. My higher guidance has certainly been encouraging me, and there's certain people in the audience here who can say, I told you so, I should be doing more, like Lisa. And Pat, you did as well. And I think, Greg, even you've mentioned it. So I'm finally not resisting as much in doing the videos. And the more I do them, the easier they become to do. I didn't realize how much of a challenge lighting can be. My, oh my, oh my. Am I getting an education? So anyway, one other thing that came up, and the universe wants me to bring this up, and it has to do with our soul group. And I'm not talking necessarily about the whole worldly soul group, although we're part of that, obviously. I'm really talking about the one from North America, United States. And what I saw some time ago, and I think I mentioned it, and I'm going to try to do this reverse of how I see it for you, that I saw these energy threads of the negative, you could say the soul group negative energies, the karmic stuff, going out as 3 different threads, and I saw it going at a curve. And when it goes to this direction, my symbology is that that's more the negative direction, and this side over here is the more positive, that's toward the light. And it was delving toward the light, and then, so I'll move it up, delving toward the darkness and then moving into the light. And we've been doing that. And then what's happened in the last few days, I've seen 3 little threads, 2 main ones and a third one of discordant, the heavier negative energies, trying to bring the path of our soul group back to the negative again. But it doesn't look like it's going to work, although I tend to think it could manifest in some way. I mean, it could be a social event, some news event, who knows, or just a general energetic state of the country. But I wanted to let you know that I did see that coming, but we are generally, the main threads are moving toward the light. Although I would expect that from the time the energies are spawned to the time that they manifest out in the world, it can vary, depends on y'all, because these energies interact with other energies of the soul group and other groups. So I just thought I'd bring it up. These are the times, as for those who knew Dr. McKimmey, these are the times the old man talked about. Most of you didn't know June except for Greg. June talked about these as well. And we're in those times that she talked about for the past 30, 40 years. So anyway, with that, that's all I have to share. And go ahead. Does anyone have any questions? I can start with Pat if you wish. Although Pat is blurry, there's no picture.
Ha ha ha. I'll go last. I'll go last because it's not really a question. I want to tune in with everybody else, and it's so exciting to get together with you guys. John's here too.
Isn't it wonderful that we can get together, because we're separated geographically, obviously, but we can see each other and we can share in our energies. What a joyous time this is. I really enjoy it. Just being with everyone. I agree.
Me too. Okay, I'm going to mute me.
All right. Lisa, do you have a question or comment or thoughts? Any either or both? Go ahead and unmute if you wish. There you go.
Okay. First thing I wanted to say is that I'm doing way better now.
Oh, awesome.
After the last call that we had last month, it was so awesome because so much just started to unravel.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, that just kept going for quite a while, quite a few weeks. And a whole bunch of stuff has just started to open up. I'm actually doing sessions again where people are just calling me out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff is starting to flow back in again. So I guess the only question so first of all, I want to say thank you for that, because that was huge. That was so huge. I've been trying to get to that specific kind of block or whatever you want to call that wall. I like to call it a wall for a very long time. So thank you.
You're welcome. And
I guess my only question would be, has it completely gone? Is there still a little bit left? I definitely feels a lot lighter.
And it is. And you really, we can have things that really can challenge us for a long time, but it takes us getting to energetically in multiple ways with multiple parts of our being to be ready for it. And you were certainly ready, and you did the things that you needed to do. And so you are a lot lighter. And it looks like there's a couple more, the big one you did, and you got a couple more like thin layers that are coming through, and just to be aware of them. And when they do, they'll be a little different than the first one that you had there. Energetically, they may not feel the same, may not appear the same way, but they're all part of the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm glad to hear that. It's so wonderful, in any of our lives when we can let stuff fall away, let it go. Oh, Paula, do you have any thoughts, questions, anything?
Yeah, thank you. So I've been experiencing headaches this last week especially, and I'm believing that it's to do with the different energies that are coming and going and moving. Um, I just thought I would check in and see if that is correct.
It's a number of things at once. Most of us, because when I say all of you, are very sensitive to the energies of the world, the universe, the soul group. Let's just say generally, you're energetically sensitive. And what you're sensing is there's this energy out there, even if we're, keeping ourselves apart and keeping ourselves in our own energy field, we're not totally disconnected from it. So you are having some connectedness with some of the energies of the soul group, and that causes a certain amount of just, I guess you could say it, to various levels of your being, you're interacting with them, and it's causing a little bit of resistance, blockage. And when you get headaches, it's because you're connected up here to your higher connections, and when they get blocked at some point there, where some valve gets kind of shut down, so to speak, it can block. And so that's part of what you're experiencing. Some of it also, as you've got some your own clearing going on and some realigning and integrating going, and that's part of it as well, that you're getting that these new energies coming in, integrating some things coming up, as well as the energies that you're sensing. Let's say that the somewhat discordant energies of the soul group, and interactions with others who have their energies are more tied to it than yours, and that certainly is true for you. There are people who
Yeah.
are more affected by it, and because of your connection to them, you have some, a little bit of wiring, a little bit of threads to it. Nothing to be concerned about, but that's what's happening. It's a good thing. You've got this wonderful energies. What are you working on right now? Because it looks like you're working on something new coming in right now.
Yes, I'm working on the Wise Woman messaging,
Yeah.
which is the platform which is interesting because I'm also have been feeling like, oh, I just don't know if I want to do that right now. So my old self is starting to jump up a little bit with that na stuff. So I'm working on clearing that out.
Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing coming in, and you're being guided by your high self and your guides and the divine to do that. And I'd say let it unfold at the pace that's right for you. I think that you're definitely being encouraged to continue doing it. Don't stop, but on the other hand, don't get ahead of your angels, so to speak.
Excellent, thank you, because I guess that's what I've been feeling is a push forward, but not a push like jump in with both feet.
Absolutely, just flow with it, keep going. There is part of your low self that is resistance, and that's very common. And you can just acknowledge it, bless it, and then continue on, just as you've been
Wonderful.
doing. You're doing awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Okay. Greg, do you have anything at all? Any thoughts, any questions, or questions and thoughts?
Can you hear me all right?
I can. You're coming through loud and clear.
Oh, okay. I had to switch to my phone because I'm updating my computer, and of course it won't finish updating. So I just had what I think is an observation and wonder what your thoughts on it. I was doing a grounding exercise and focusing on the energies coming from above, the divine, the energies to the earth, and it occurred to me that I'm not creating those energies. Those energies are always there, but I'm focusing my attention to them, and I suppose strengthening them because of focusing my attention on it. Does that seem accurate?
Yes, that is accurate. Your attention to them is opening you up to be a wider channel, so to speak. Yes.
Okay. So it just occurred to me that when we're aware of that, we could almost just like snap right into it just by being aware that it's almost like we don't need a process if we just quickly can go there.
Yes, awareness and intention can make things just happen, with the non-conscious self, or with our, if we want to think of it as our automatic self, our automatic energetic bodies. Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
and
cool.
Also, your high self wants you to know that you're still processing some of the energies from the mastership, especially the one cycle.
Well, and I'm still having dreams that just seem to be totally different character from what I've had before, and there's still all sorts of family members and people I've known that have died or passed on,
Mhm.
and I feel like I'm reestablishing connections, but in a different way, uh, and also to places. So it's really intriguing.
Yes, what's interesting is what I'm seeing of it that they're letting me see, because some of it it's not, they don't want me to see because they don't want us to talk about it. You know, you need to experience it yourself. Is that you're simultaneously affirming the relationships you've had, blessing them, letting them integrate, and I think what'll happen is they'll fall away. Not fall away. It's just like not like they're going away, but they're going to fall into the background, into that proper place in your energetic being in your life. It's kind of it's an area of your life that has needed integration, that we've talked about this before, things that, you know, this is a process you're in, and this is the phase you're in of that process. And you're also still integrating, connecting and clearing some of the blockages, I'm going to call them that happened during that one cycle.
Yeah,
So,
that's the feeling I've had too. It's like,
yeah.
this doesn't seem quite like the right word, but it seems like a sort of closure that, yeah, like you say, reaffirming, but then, okay, well, I'm ready for new things now.
It's like affirming and blessing, so that it can move on, and those things can take their place energetically where they need to in creation in your life, and for you to allow, and that connection which is happening, it to fall away, so the unfoldment you can move into the unfoldment that you're in the process of doing right now.
Okay. Now I'll have to think more about what I'm still processing from the last mastership.
Well, the one cycle specifically that you had a challenge with.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yes, that one, because it specifically, and there's just some of the things we talked about it structurally, that was an issue, but it also, those energies are, you could say, coming up against some things that within your being that are, you could say, baggage or whatever, but really they're getting dissolved. They're things that are
Okay.
dissolved, and it's part of this whole thing that you're doing.
Great. Thank you.
Anything else?
Not right now.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing. All right. Let us go to Marcy in beautiful sunny Hawaii, Molokai.
Oh yeah, it's sunny. It's definitely sunny. Let's see. Well, I guess just like right off the top of my head, I would say it seems like everything's a lot smoother right now. Sounds like it is for everybody. The one thing that's kind of a curious thing is we go out to the land and spend 4 or 5 days, and so we're camping, and we're back in nature, a mile back in, nobody there. Then we come out and come back to town to our little place on the water, which is really nice and clean and pretty quiet. Each time we do, it's like something surreal going on. It's like a not wanting to leave the land, but still knowing, we need to come back and get supplies and do the people thing. It's really like, I don't know, it's almost like two different worlds going on, not just because they're so different, but there's something going on, and I don't know exactly what it is. And I wonder if you'd pick up any insights on it.
Yes, and before I answer, what do you suppose that it is? What do you sense that it is? If you were to put it in your own words, what you know about this process, how would you describe it? Beyond,
Well, it's kind of like the whole big thing of what's going on a bigger scale of, kind of like going between worlds and then anchoring in the higher vibration. That's kind of how I see it. It's just such a weird feeling, though. And when we get back here, it's almost like when we get back to the place in town, it's almost like we're just wiped out.
Well,
here we're using all this energy up there, and we're perfectly functional. And we get back to town, and it's just like crash.
Yes, because you reground.
What's that?
I was going to say, I'm sorry.
It's not really, yeah, go ahead.
No, you finish up your thought. I'm sorry. It's just that time delay on my
Well,
end here.
yeah, it's just, it's not that it's real negative, it's just that it's so extreme.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Well, this goes back to the conversation we had before you left. And remember, you were deciding whether or not to go to Hawaii, Molokai. And one of the things that your high self and your higher guidance said in the Divine Mother was that there was some growth in areas of your life that have, say, just hadn't really evolved or been able to evolve the way that you would like your higher self, because of just you weren't in a place where that could happen. And one of the things that they said was that when you go there, there's learning and growth that can happen there that I won't say won't happen. It won't happen as robustly as it would there. So energetically, you're like opening up that that feeling you have of the land. This is the expansion of the energies within your own being, and your connection with the land. And it feels like you're in your own dimensional space, you might say, where you're getting connected while you're there, but that connection that you're feeling the land, because you are connected with it, is an outer manifestation of the inner growth within your being. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And there's no time. There's no time when we're out there at all.
Yeah. And you could say it's an outer, I guess I'm going to say an outer manifestation, and it really is an outer manifestation. There are the energies on that there in that dimensional space that you are in, really allows you to be in this bubble of energetic connection to the higher realms there, but that are tied, there to the earth. And Hawaii is such a high frequency place anyway, it makes it much easier for that to happen. And what's happening while you're doing that is connections are happening, things are falling away, clearing. And then when you go back to your place in town, it allows you to reground to earth, kind of the regular world, which is something that you need. So you have the time that you're grounding, which allows you to resync up and to get resynced here on earth. And then you go back into your dimensional bubble that is that land, that property, which is really an embodiment and a manifestation energetically, because of your connection with it, of your own growth. What you feel in the land is what is happening with you.
Yeah.
It's
I totally see it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's just a little confusing because it feels like both parts are still necessary, but it's so extreme.
They are. And it's because you're in a point right now that you're in this area of growth. You're in this span time. I don't want to say, but energetically, the alignment of just things in the world, energetically within your being, you're in a point right now where you can have a lot of unfoldment, growth, integration, connection, releasing all at the same time, because it all happens at the same time, and expansion into those parts of your being that are reflected by those energies. And so long story short, because you're ready for it, it's happening. This is what June used to talk about, which was spiritual quickening. When we're ready for things to accelerate, and if we allow them to accelerate and we're in the right place where that convergence of all those factors come together, wonderful, awesome things can happen. And that's indeed what is happening with you. Enjoy it while you have it, because it's going to go for a while, and then it's going to kind of finish up, wrap up, integrate, and then you may have a lull before the next thing happens, whatever that is for you.
Okay. And it's not, I'm not getting any sense of leaving here or anything like that. It just seems like this is a spot. So.
Yeah. And even if that is something that's in your future, right now, that is not, it's like you're in the space where you just need to be in the space you're in and not be concerned with anything else, with what was or what's next. Just be in the now and flow with it.
Okay.
And you are.
Okay. The one thing, when you're saying this, and I've had this for, I don't know how long, as long as I remember, I'll feel something. It's like I'll feel it behind my eyes. It's almost like you're getting teary-eyed, like you're going to cry.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to think that was like a higher guidance kind of thing, communicating through the body that way. But now that I can see it, you know, that I'm separate from it and I can step back and see it, I wonder if it's actually that or if it's something being cleared out. I don't know if that makes any sense or
Yeah,
not.
I don't think it's bad. It doesn't appear to be bad. But what it does to be is it has to do with the energies with what that you're moving into, and it manifests. It shows up in energetically within your body. You know, feeling wise in that way. I think you're going to have more insights as time goes on. I think I could get more, but they don't want me to, so I'm going to leave it that for right now. But yeah, I'm not trying to avoid it, but it really is something that is part of the, you know, all these different parts of our being have all these energetic connections, and we have, you know, we within our body, and then we feel it within our body, and it connects to these higher etheric realms and these different aspects of our being. And that has what it has to do with, and it's manifesting in that way. And it also looks like behind your eyes, but also looks a little bit of your third eye. I'm getting as we're talking, my third eye is really, really being inundated with energies from your bubble of energy there on your property. It's pretty intense. So, and it has to do with that. Yeah, it's a good thing, but yeah, I can see why you feel the way you do.
Okay.
We can talk more next time.
Much, Deb.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Well, enjoy yourself there. It's pretty warm, I suspect, isn't it, by now?
Yeah. I think the last week has warmed up a little bit, so it's nice to be up there because there's a cool breeze coming down the stream, off, you know, through the valley, and it's nice and cool. But here in town, it's hot.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen. Thank you for sharing. I think it's so incredibly just wonderful what's happening, and this is what you've wanted. Your inner self has wanted. This is part of what you had for your life plan, and you allowed it to happen. You went there and are doing the things, and you're connecting in ways that'll let you to do it. I hope are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I had a little buzzing going on. Probably a little synchronization there. Anyway. All right. Well, I'm going to move on. Brooke, welcome.
Well, hello there.
Hi. Brooke calling from New Mexico, I suspect, right?
In our fifth wheel.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And I'm going to get myself in a jam here in a minute because I pulled off the road and there's a car in front of me. Oh, no. Anyway, how's it going?
Well, doing well. How about yourself? How are things there in sunny New Mexico?
Very good, actually. We're
So
on our
anything-
way up to Cloudcroft, and we're going to try to boondock up there somewhere. So we'll
Where's
see
that
what
at?
happens. It's out of Ruidoso and
Okay.
Mescalero area.
Okay.
Used to live up that way, but now we're going to find a place to set up camp somewhere for a night or two and then head back on up to Albuquerque.
All right. So do you have anything to share? Any thoughts, any questions, both, either?
Well, I guess the big thing is I was just interested because I remembered you were having your call tonight, and then I thought I'd just kind of tie in to listen and see who was all on the call. And I see Pat was on here and Lisa's on here and others. I thought, wow, this is kind of cool. But I didn't come prepared for any questions, but anything that maybe you might be picking up on insight and want to share with me would be fun. But I didn't have any particular question that really came to mind.
I just think things are going fine for you right now. I mean, I guess your life is flowing as in accordance as it should, and as you generally intend. Although it looks like you have some thoughts about some moves you might or might not make, future stuff. It looks like it's in the back of your mind. I'm not sure if it's always there, but it looks like I can see that. But other than that, nothing's coming through that I can think specifically. Your high self is indicating just sitting there with a smile. So I take that as being a very positive thing.
Well, I appreciate that because everything seems to be going very positively. And, I've worked for tribes and I've been here for a little over a year and a half now. And things are going well, but, you just plan that it'll continue to. But you start to see energy shift with your boards and you think, oh, no, not already. But there's still things to do, lots of things to do.
Yeah, and there
I've
seems
got a good step.
Yeah. And one thing I could share with you that did come through now that as you started talking is there seems to be, and I just think it's the nature of your job and what you do and the dynamics that are involved in doing it, is there's always, it looks like some tension there and it shows up energetically. And I don't know if there's a lot you can do with it. You handle it well, you handle it very smoothly and in a way that keeps things from escalating more than they need to. But it's always there and it looks like it's always in the back of your mind. But overall, it just feels like things are flowing as well as they can given the dynamics of what you do. And I don't see any, at least they're not showing me any bumps in the road coming up for you in the near future by any means.
Well, that's great to hear. And when it's always in the back of your mind, always be aware that I don't want to bring that to the front with my energy. I'm thinking about it once in a while, but it seems like I'm in the right place and the people I'm working with me in the right place and I'm helping them with things in their lives. And it always seems to be what happens when I go to different places that, you're positively impacting people's lives. And so that's part of why I'm here.
And you are doing that. And they need your energy. You are definitely a channel that the universe and the divine are using, and especially some areas, and we're not, don't need to talk about it, but some areas that really, that need addressing, and you're getting to them in due course. And the universe and the divine just really want you just continue doing what you're doing and following your guidance, and they'll make you aware of what you need to be aware of in a timely fashion as they can.
Well, good. And then with that being said, we'll probably connect ourselves, you and I, and maybe Deborah, and we'll just have a visit along those lines, offline.
Sure, we can do that.
But thank you so much. Love you guys.
They're so glad you joined us. I'm so glad you can come again next month. It's July 9th. I don't know if you're going to be busy, but that's when we're doing it.
Sounds great.
All right. Well,
Okay.
Thank you for coming in here and sharing. And now I'm just going to open it up again. Does anyone have any other comments or questions or anything at all that they would like to share or that you think the group would benefit from hearing?
Okay, I'm ready to share. And some of you have already heard some of this because I related it to a few. But somewhere toward the beginning of May, this is going to be something I'm just going to share. Upon awakening, I was told the suffering on the planet is over. It's done. And it was very emphatic. And I laid there for an hour contemplating that and thinking, yeah, but what about all these people, even people I know personally that are still suffering? So then I was told when I got up to go to the medicine wheel and do ceremony. So that afternoon I went to the medicine wheel, and it was a phenomenal ceremony. One pipe was chosen, my drum, etc. Okay, about a week later, I knew there's more puzzle pieces coming, just didn't know when. About a week later, upon awakening, I was told the divine feminine has suffered from the beginning of time. Then I hadn't talked to my friend Choling, who lives in Minneapolis area outskirts, and she gave me a call, and so we always have this big exchange. And so I shared those two things with her, and she commented, yes, there were contracts, really old contracts, and we are cleaning our weeds out. And then the next day, she sent me an email, and she said that, because she has some pretty heavy duty guidance, and she said at 4:40 a.m., they were talking to her, and she kept hearing, due to the breath work Pat has been practicing, she was able to know and sense the original fall of man at the beginning, the original blueprint. And then a different day, I was told not to say anymore, which I've been using this as a go to sleep practice for probably 4 years. I am the light I am. I was told the light exposes the darkness, and that is done. Rather say, I am source. So I'm sharing that. And then one more thing, and then I would really appreciate any comments you might have or anybody else. Today I said to a friend on the phone, you know, I said, I can be uplifted talking to you or another friend or whatever, but John and I have both been, he came up with the word melancholy. And she used the word to me. She said, what are you choosing? Which reality are you choosing? And like all afternoon, I was thinking about that. And I really started to understand that by choosing the word melancholy, even, or whatever you want to say, could be depression, it doesn't matter. And forking it off on the collective and saying, oh, that's just the collective, that's not really dealing with it. And that's not me directly looking at it and saying, which world do I want? So that is those are my things.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all for being there.
And obviously that was something that came through for you. So it's of significance. As far as melancholy, and sometimes we feel things out there in the collective, the energies, but they also correspond to some of the stuff that we're releasing. So as it's being released, sometimes we have the low self will have, you could say a sorrowfulness, you could say a melancholy as it's being released, because it's the thing, although it's something that it needs to be released, it's the thing it's known for all this time, sometimes many lifetimes. And as it's being released, there can be kind of a sorrowfulness. It's kind of like a joyful tears of sorrow kind of a thing. We're letting it go. And as we're letting it go, there's that initial sorrowfulness. And then, of course, it's replaced by the light. And then there's the joy of being raised up, or we're going up. So that happens to lots of people. So when we say we sometimes, my only comments would be is that when we feel the collective, it usually corresponds to something within ourselves of a similar nature energetically. And usually, and quite often, I'm seeing this with everyone, there's this accelerated releasing of things. And as I've mentioned before, I think in the last insights, but I've also mentioned it in the posts, the blog posts, usually a lot of the stuff will fall away, especially if you become aware of it. We don't even know it left. All of a sudden, we just feel differently about things. We feel better. We feel lighter. Things are better. then some of the stuff, it mainly gets released, but a part of us holds on to it. Little aspect of us, lower little compartment of us holds on to it, part of that consciousness. It still gets released, but it gets processed through our energetic field. And as that happens, we feel the energies associated with it. And when that happens, those energies out there that resonate with the energies within us being released, we can sense, and we can do, our inner self can do a little projection that looks like it's them out there, but reality is it's just our stuff being released. And of course, then we can hold on to some things. And then when that happens, you can still feel it, but ultimately we're in the process of letting these things go. And I think if we know that, we can just bless it and let it happen. So, you know, I'm with you. Let the sorrowfulness go, affirm the, you know, the light, and live from the light, and as much as we can, knowing of course that we have these layers of things that often are coming up, and just to let them go and not try to get caught up in them. That's the only thing I would say is if stuff comes up, don't re-engage it. Just bless it, send it on its way. You know, it's just going into the light. It can be with us for a moment, and if we need to let it go, and you know, sometimes we have people have, you know, they cry or they have to release it, whatever we need to do, but let it go. Or if it's a little bit sorrowful, that's okay, because just know it's on its way out again. So anyone else have any thoughts on that?
I just want to say thank you so much. That was very helpful, as have been your blogs and your other things you're writing for us. So thank you a lot to everybody, and to Jeff in particular.
Well, you're welcome. And I am going to make it a point, and thanks to all the input from all of you. Again, I'm going to be doing more videos, I think, as time goes on, or I may do blog post and then follow it up with a video, as I did with the last one. So anyway, this process of letting things go, it's so important to do that. And I've watched some people and been aware of them in recent times, not part of this group, but that have, as the stuff came up, rather than letting it go, they re-engaged into it. And that's kind of one of those negative cycle attachments. And then what we do is we hold on to it rather than blessing it and letting it go. So as we all know, that's the way to do it. Just know it's on its way out. The light's coming in, and we're moving upward. So does anyone else have any thoughts or any questions?
I wanted to comment on that.
Yes, please.
So one of the things that when, you know, we're multidimensional beings,
Mm-hmm.
and so when something comes up that kind of takes our attention, and usually it's kind of these lower emotions, also remember that that's just a tiny part of you
That's true.
experiencing that, because
Mhm.
you're also bliss, you're also joy, you're also happy, you're also angry, you're also all these multiple things. So if you can kind of be in that, and it's like, yes, I am feeling whatever this sadness, this melancholy, whatever you want to label it or not label, and just say, yeah, this energy, I'm experiencing this energy, and I'm also experiencing all of these other things simultaneously. But one of the things that the mind likes to do is it likes to focus just in that, you know, and I know because I've been there.
Oh,
And
everyone has.
yeah, sometimes it's very hard to move out, you know, move off of that focus, but you're not just experiencing that, you're experiencing all these other things simultaneous too. And when you can be in that place and go, yes, I'm this, but I'm also these other things, that can also help kind of shift you out of that. Kind of move your focus off of it, which then allows that energy to kind of move.
That is so true, and I'm glad you brought that up. And we are these enormous beings, and this is just one, you say, fragment of us. We are this enormous being, and parts of us are in other dimensions, other realms, in what we think of as the past and in the future. But ultimately, the majority of our being is this beautiful, immense, beautiful, illuminated being of light. That is who we truly are. We have this experience here because obviously these are things that need to be integrated, released, and in the light to fill it. But you're right. And, you know, one of the things, and you brought that up, when I find something comes up like that, I find it real helpful to move into my high self. And when I go there and when we connect with the light, or even when we do the, you know, the grounding and the connecting, that alone can help bring us out of that and accelerate us into being, reminding us to live from who we truly are. So thank you for bringing that up, Lisa. That was very wonderful. Anyone else? Greg, Pat, or Marcy? Anything else?
Jeff,
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about this, what comes to me is that as the light, it's still in the realm of form. And we're beyond the light. We're what sees the light. We're what bees the light. We're beyond the light. We're the source of the light.
So what do you mean by that? Can you explain a little further? I'd like to hear.
Well, we're beyond the qualities, and the light's quality.
Yes.
We're beyond all of that.
Yes, and because at the core of our being, we are connected to the transcendent, you know, and Joseph Campbell talks about that. You know, God goes beyond being and non-being. There's no way of even describing it beyond, you know, as you said, attributes that we can describe. So I see what you mean. Absolutely. And some of the meditations that I have, and I'm going to share this, I'm reminded to share it. And this has only happened once, and I have it in my spiritual journal, my meditation journals from some years ago. And I had, part of what happened that was outlined in the book, that process has continued and keep going. I call it, it feels like up, but it's more like mathematical supersets, a higher, it's the greater expanse of the bubbles. I don't even know how to describe it. But when I'm up there, it all makes sense. But when I come back into my body and go from my higher mind into my regular operating from the brain, the low self and middle self and brain, I'm just not able to. I finally got to the point where I just couldn't journal anymore. There was no words I could talk about. And the Father told me once, he said, do not be dismayed if you cannot, you know, quantify, I'm paraphrasing, but basically write about my experiences, because, and this is the only time he talked to me in this way. He says, the brain does not have the neurological, and I'm paraphrasing, way of encoding those experiences. There's no way to take the experiences that happen in these higher realms and encode it in a way that our brain can process it. And he said, do not be dismayed, just know that it's okay, you know, and from that point on, and that's when I quit journaling. I just finally realized it got to the point where there wasn't any way for me to talk about it. I'd come back down and everything I wrote was basically almost gibberish. It just didn't make any sense. So I just realized there wasn't a whole lot more utility in my doing the journal. But so I agree with you. That is exactly what we are. We are these transcendent beings in our most inner essence. We are connected, you know, what is it? Joseph Campbell says, in our core, we identify as God and with God. That is who we are. That's at the core of our being, the essence of our being. We are tied to the transcendent. What is it? You know, the Anjali, that the Hindus do. You know, this here, which is, you know, the God in me greets the God in you. It's a recognition that we are all, the center of our beings is all, we are all one in the transcendent, or what we call God. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Brooke, did you have anything? You raised your hand, so that, did you intend that, or is that just accidentally hit a spot on your phone there?
No, I'd have to go find it to make it accidental, so that was intentional. Teresa's sitting next to me, and one of the things you talked about earlier was, possibly some change or some things we're thinking about. One thing that we do on a more physical level is that we live in our fifth wheel throughout the week, and on the weekends we go home down to Cruces. That Teresa's been able to work 16 to 20 hours, and takes care of our parking spot at the KOA in Bernalillo and that type of thing. But when she had started looking, the guy that she was going to work for talked about drama, and he said, no drama here. He doesn't put up with drama. And now he's the biggest drama king. And it's a lot of tension and stuff. And we've thought about leaving that campsite and figuring someplace else, maybe even going up towards Santa Fe and into a more remote type camp setting. That would just really possibly feel more like out in nature more than we are now, because we're closer to town. So I was just wondering, is there anything that you might sort of be picking up in that area? Because that could be part of the change that we're both feeling too.
Well, it looks like it's for you to move on, but one of the things that's precipitating the drama is your connection to the light. That's bringing it out in this individual. That's what's bringing it, making it erupt like it is.
Interesting.
Yes, and the two of you, yes. And you're really bringing it in, and the connection you have, he's not even aware of that. That's why it's happening, but it's just, bringing it on up but I'd say also part of that is that, and just guiding you, obviously, it's kind of funny how these things one thing can happen that looks somewhat like it's discordant, but at the same time, that's part of a more positive thing, which is that you're looking to move to another place. And it looks like it'll be calmer.
It is colder.
Yeah, that's what it looks
going
like.
Up the snow country.
Yeah,
we go up the snow country if we head north. So.
Yeah, it looks like it's, but
anyway, I'm gonna lose you. We're coming up into the mountains now, so if I do lose you, let you know I love you guys. Appreciate your time.
Well, I love you too. All right. Well, listen, that's what was causing all that, and it was time for him to let go of it. But he was doing it in kind of a discordant, bumpy manner.
Well, that's good. He feels the difference in us, and that it's his own self that's kind of doing the stuff. So.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but anyway, yes, it sounds like we're losing a little bit of the signal there, but enjoy your trip.
Okay, sounds good. Talk to you later.
All right. All right, does anyone else have anything? Well, with that, just thank you all for coming. And if you have anyone else that wants to join, please do share. We're going to look at possibly, I think I'm going to put this out on the website, our new website, Knock on Wood. We're hoping to migrate soon to get it up and go running. It's much different than our current site. It's just really pleased with it. And it has our calendar of events on there, so you don't have to wonder what's going to happen when. It's right there, and it has it for several months out so that you can know what's going to happen when and where. So again, we'll hopefully have that out soon. And we're going to, again, post, I think we'll post a link to this, and we'll see how it goes, and let others just join in. And that's the whole object, is for people to join in, and I'll see how we can manage it. I guess if we get 30 windows open on the Zoom screen. I'll have to look at how to do that, but we'll cross that bridge when it happens. Anyway, does anyone have any closing thoughts? Anything at all? All right. Well,
Just a thank you. Thank you and good night, everybody.
well, thank you all for being here. It's such a privilege to do this and to be part of it, and for everyone to share, like Pat and Lisa and Greg and Marcy and Paul. I just thank you all for being part of this and sharing, and it's a real blessing in my life. So blessings and light. And until next month, July 9th, I'll put out a post on an announcement on it. We'll see you then. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, everybody. And
Thanks.
Thank you.
everything was very helpful. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
All right. Blessings again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.